My faith journey, I believe, is evolving every day as I grow and mature in my faith with our Blessed Mother. I'm really grateful and joyful about the trials in my life because those are the trials that have brought me closer to Mary and have increased and added more depth in my faith formation. I'm Sangeeta Jadav. I live in Houston, Texas. I was born and raised in India, in a small town called Surat, Gujarat. I'm the oldest in the family. I have a sister who's about a year younger to me, and then a brother who followed 5 years later. And I've been married to my husband, Edgar, for over 26 years. We have 3 children. Being raised in India as a Catholic, we were very much surrounded by priests and nuns, and we also went to a Catholic school. My parents kept in touch with, of course, with the nuns very closely. They were the Carmelite nuns. My mother received the statue of Our Lady of Fatima from one of the Carmelite nuns at our church. A beautiful looking statue of Our Lady of Fatima, and as children, we were all, my sister and I especially, because we were about 7 to 8 years old. And what we decided to do, Mom says, why don't we build a little grotto? And so we got pretty excited, my sister and I. We took little bricks that were around our home and we glued it with mud and water. And that's how we built a little grotto just around, just outside our home. When it was all finished, we really enjoyed decorating it with flowers, fresh flowers, and having a little candle lit around it. And then the best part was praying the Rosary outdoors around our grotto. So it felt very, very special. And I think that was a very endearing moment, a moment that was very impressionable at that time. And to share that love of our Blessed Mother with my sister, I think that was very, very special. About late 1970s, Mother Teresa congregation had come to our city, and she was going to establish a convent in our city, Surat, Gujarat. And my parents played a very pivotal role helping the sisters find their home over there, as well as settling them in the areas of Surat, Gujarat. Our devotion to our Blessed Mother was even more enriched by this experience with the Mother Teresa congregation. And having met Mother Teresa several times, including a time when she had invited our family to her convent, and she had my brother, who was, I think, around 5 or 4 years old, and she had him on his lap for nearly 2 hours. Mother Teresa would say this emergency prayer novena, and that was, she would recite the Memorare 9 times, and the 10th time was in gratitude. I learned the importance of saying the Memorare, and I will say that that's one of my favorite prayers, Marian prayers. Mother Teresa would use that as to get over some of her trials and difficulties. So just saying the Memorare, remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, sought thine intercession, was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, we fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, our Mother. To thee do we come, before thee do we stand, sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not our petitions, but in your mercy, please hear and answer us. We used to receive the Don Bosco magazine from Bombay. That magazine was very special. It was just a really small periodical that would come out monthly. There was a column at the end of it where the heading was Mary Was There. And I would just love reading that column because it was just a really special and special moment that people were sharing about their lives, about where they experienced Mary in their lives. And there were so many stories about, struggles, personal trials, in different walks of lives, and people were sharing about their devotion to our Blessed Mother in their times of difficulties and how she came through for them. So I thought that was very, very bold of people to share their stories about our Blessed Mother. And it was very, very encouraging for me to be able to read that. And so whenever that magazine came in, I treasured that time just reading the column of Mary Was There. I think that's when I started to realize the importance of praying to our Blessed Mother in your trials, in your difficulties, in your moments of darkness, right? And understanding her presence and acknowledging it, and also to be able to share that faith with others, right? So that's when I also learned how being surrounded by people of like faith who enjoy being with our Blessed Mother, or who enjoy a devotion to our Blessed Mother. So those were some of the things that I gathered from those, I would say, formation. That was my faith formation. When we came to the United States, of course, this was all very new to us, a whole new country. We left all our friends and school. It was quite an adjustment, and also to the newness of the country itself, a different culture. I remember my sister and I, we would go to college, community college together, and we would have to take 2 buses. And at that time, the second bus, we had to pay a 10-cent transfer money and to get the ticket. And so my sister and I, we would actually walk that distance so that we could save the 10 cents for the next day's bus trip. These were some small trials that we cherished at that time as well. And even now, when we look back, to appreciate the presence of our Blessed Mother. Even in the times that we didn't know that she was with us, she was there. And she came through for us in many, many ways with our family. And one of the ways that I truly remember, and I'm very, very grateful, is when I needed to get my immigration paperwork done. There was a time where I needed to get an employer. Well, I had finished my master's degree in healthcare administration. I wanted to continue working at that time after having received my graduate studies. And the difficulty was that I didn't have the paperwork to be able to be employed, so I needed a sponsorship. There were many people who helped in many ways, especially my parents, my friends, family friends, and people that were acquaintances. And those were the ways Mary showed her presence in the different people that were there to help me through this. What I did mostly as well is I would run to the San Gabriel Mission, the church, and there was the beautiful statue of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And I would pray to her and ask her to please intercede for me. Especially I remember making stops on my way to the interviews that I would go to, or if I was meeting a certain person who was going to put me in touch with someone else. So I would stop and pray to her and say, please be with me during this time. And I remember when I did get the job, I first came back and I, on my way again, stopped and thanked her. Those were very special moments because acknowledging her presence was also important, to know that she is there with us. And even more important is to know that Mary is there with us even when we doubt it. In the early 90s, when I graduated with my bachelor's degree, my parents were so excited, and it was a dream come true. And for all of us, myself included, right? My parents threw a nice party, graduation party, and we invited our neighbors, friends, and we also had the privilege to have Father Stanislaus visit us during that time. He gifted me a rosary, and the rosary looked just, this is the rosary that he gifted me in this little case, and I treasured it very specially till today. And it has been my rosary ever since. In 2001, when my daughter was in the hospital, and it was a very cold winter, and we had at that time our 3 daughters who were all under 3.5 years old. My youngest daughter was just an infant. She was about 6 weeks at that time when she developed a severe cough and cold, which ended up becoming RSV. She was not able to breathe on her own. She had severe pneumonia. We saw the x-ray and her lungs were just dark. And we were told that she has RSV and she couldn't breathe on her own. So she was on a ventilator. And she had all these major needles that were poked in her body, and that's how she was receiving an IV and getting her care. I held my rosary to my child on the little skin that I could touch, and I was praying the rosary for her. I remember on one of the rounds with the physicians, they came by. There were 2 female physicians who visited her. And one of them looked at me and she says, "Your child is fighting." And I really felt that was an assurance from our Blessed Mother that my child is fighting. And she's getting her strength from our Blessed Mother. So after 15 days of being on the ventilator, she was able to breathe on her own, and she was taken out of the neonatal ICU. I remember an experience while we were in the neonatal ICU. We were sharing the room with another child. She must have been about 8 years old, and she had Down syndrome as well. When I see her mother, she was seated beside her bed, her child's bed, just hopeless and just staring. And I felt so called to share a moment with her. So I sat beside her, held her hand, and continued to pray my rosary. And I prayed that this child would also be healthy again. In 2004, we had a really nice opportunity through my husband's job to spend 6 weeks in Paris, in France. In those 6 weeks, I remember there was this one weekend, my husband, he came up to me and he says, "We're going to go to Lourdes." I still remember how excited he was that we were going to take this trip, and I was just happy to follow along. So we took all our children, all 3 of them, and then at that time they were all under kindergarten age. When we went to Lourdes, I got sick. And I think it was just all the traveling and waking up in the morning and rushing and all that. I was kind of, resting in bed, and my daughter tells my husband, "Daddy, let's go and get some holy water from Lourdes, and we'll have Mommy drink that water, and she'll get healed." And so I'm laughing because of the enthusiasm that she had and that strong faith that she had. And so my husband and her, they go and get this big bottle of water, and they had me drink it. And my husband comes to me on the side and he says, "Now you really need to get healed." And I knew why he was saying that, because he cared so much that our children also would continue on that faith, and so validate her faith in it. When I started to feel better, we said, okay, let's go to the procession and the evening rosary, and that was just ecstatic. It was beautiful. And so even more reasons to say thank you for the faith that she has embedded in us, right, through this little experience. And I'm sure that was formative years for our children. So I'm sure that they will be pulling on those as they grow into their adulthood. My faith journey, I believe, is evolving every day as I grow and mature in my faith with our Blessed Mother and her beloved Son Jesus. One of the things I've taken on recently in the past 4 or 5 years is praying the Rosary with a group that is in a different city or state as well, in Louisiana. And we pray the Rosary every Sunday at around 8 o'clock. So the idea is for everybody joining us, will pray the Rosary and then they go to bed. That prayer is very special. That prayer moment is very special for us. And we go on air, live on Facebook, and we are also on Zoom and YouTube. So that's how in our small ways, we like to bring the Rosary to those who are not able to pray in a community together, especially after the pandemic. So I'm very grateful that I had the experience to visit a couple of the Marian apparition sites, like Our Lady of Lourdes, Our Lady of Guadalupe, and then also recently to learn about Our Lady of Valencani, who is Our Lady of Good Health, and also learned about our very own Marian apparition site in the United States, Our Lady of Good Help in Champion, Wisconsin. So all these moments of joy and happiness of having visited the sites, but also praying the Rosary. I'm really grateful for those moments because they are those moments that actually make me a stronger person. Our Blessed Mother also reinforces her presence in my life through those moments. Also, understanding when life gets tough, knowing that she is there with me, she is walking with me, and not just her, but through her, I'm also getting closer to her beloved Son, Jesus.
My name is Michael O'Neill and I'm the Miracle Hunter, and today we're talking about some of the miraculous images of the Virgin Mary from around the world. One of my favorite stories of the Virgin Mary, and it's kind of on the level of Our Lady of Guadalupe, who left that lasting image for St. Juan Diego. There's another image like this, and it's actually found in Colombia. There was a woman named Marian de Quiñones, and in the year 1754, she was walking amongst Las Lajas, or the flagstones, when she was caught in the snow in a rainstorm. She was running to a cave to seek protection from that rainstorm, and her daughter got there first. Now, her daughter was very sickly. She was deaf and mute, and all of a sudden she started exclaiming, "I hear the Virgin Mary." And sure enough, they ran away from that spot in fear. They ran to Itopiales, where they were from, and the townspeople came back with them. And when they did come back, they discovered an image of the Virgin Mary that was emblazoned on the cave wall where they were about to go in. And this is an image of the Virgin Mary. It looks like it's in Spanish style from the 17th century, and it has the mother and child with St. Dominic and St. Francis depicted in the same spot. And this may look like a painting at first, but scientists have actually cored into that image and found that the color goes 7 feet deep. And so no known scientific process can produce color in rock. This is considered a miracle locally and a miracle for the world that's been approved by the Catholic Church. And that was Our Lady of Las Lajas in Gujarat Canyon in the year 1754.